Okay, I'm going to start with Greg Miller. So I've known Greg for a long time now. Greg was raised in a housing project in New York City. He dropped out of high school to join the military. They accepted dropouts in those days. After serving honorably for 3 years in the 82nd Airborne Division, he worked various blue-collar, mechanical, and technical jobs until he became a manager in the mid-80s. Over the years, and this is unusual for this group, over the years he pieced together a modest education but never acquired a degree. He currently works as Technical Services Manager for Comtel Systems, Inc., Sunnyvale Systems Integrator. He has been a volunteer with this organization called Bright Futures for 9 years. Greg has been applying the skill-based volunteering in the community for the last 9 years. And last year, he was recognized for the work he's doing with at-risk youth with an Unsung Hero Award by the National Council of La Raza, which is the premier Hispanic advancement organization in the country. He will talk more about himself when the panel begins, but I have utmost respect for the work he does in the community. Shashi Shastri. Shashi is currently VP of Product at a startup focused on industrial IoT. She has over 17 years experience in the networking industry and has worked in the area of software development, customer advocacy, and product management. Outside of technology, Shashi volunteered for several years as a counselor at Nextdoor Solutions to Domestic Violence, an agency that provides support and refuge to victims of domestic violence. More recently, she volunteered at Prema, which is a new organization helping refugees integrate into mainstream society in the Bay Area. And as we know, that's really important, especially in these days. Thank you. K. Sridharan. Sridharan is president and co-founder of Shankara Eye Foundation USA and chief product officer, Zan Compute Inc. Sridharan, from the 1980 batch of IIT Madras, co-founded Shankara Eye Foundation USA with his brother and his neighbor in San Jose, California in 1998 to help the Shankara Eye Foundation Hospital in Coimbatore scale across India and march towards eradicating curable blindness in India. Today, SEF is the largest free eye care provider in the world, with 8 state-of-the-art eye hospitals across India and 4 more on the way. SEF is performing over 150,000 free eye surgeries every year and has performed over 1.5 million total free eye surgeries. He was awarded both the Distinguished Alumni Award from IIT Madras and the Global Leadership Award from Pan IIT in the year 2011. Sridhar retired from Intel Corp as a senior director in 2016 after working there for 26 years and joined a budding IoT startup, Zen Compute, as a partner and chief product officer. Welcome. Usha Sangam. After graduating with a BTech in Electronics Engineering from IIT Madras and an MS in Computer Science from UMass Amherst, Usha worked in the software development world for 18 plus years. After much soul searching, she left that industry to focus in 2005 on parenting and volunteering at her daughter's elementary school, where she volunteered in the classroom, headed the parent education committee, and participated in the anti-bullying committee there for 2 years. She's a certified Parenting by Connection instructor and a consultant through Hand-in-Hand Parenting, a non-profit in Palo Alto. She also has California teaching credentials for K through 8 and secondary level math, and has taught math at middle school setting. She homeschooled her daughter now almost 21 and in college through most of her daughter's middle and high school years. She's an art of living instructor, teacher, and volunteer for youth causes, as well as a teacher in training for the Art of Living's happiness program for adults, with a focus on yoga, pranayama, and meditation. She currently tutors middle and high school students at home in math. Welcome, Usha. Prasanna Vinjamuri. Prasanna is the founder of Ascend, a platform for non-profits and corporations to connect and collaborate to create better social outcomes. Ascend's mission is to help individuals acquire, grow, and apply skills to achieve their personal and career goals while positively impacting society. A proud alumnus of IIT Madras, Prasanna has been honing and applying his entrepreneurial skills with Ascend and helping non-profits such as Hands-On Bay Area and My New Red Shoes grow. Welcome, Prasanna. Today, Prasanna is moderating this panel.
Thank you, Padma, for such a kind welcome to all of us. So, we know we are closing the party here, so we're the last panel, and we appreciate you here in the audience, and definitely we will want to kind of move quickly so that you can join the rest of the gang that's outside. I can hear a lot of ruckus outside. I just want to let you in on a little secret actually. This panel moderation thing that I'm doing here, I'm doing skill building right here. I've never done this before. So let's see how it goes. I just want to kind of first welcome all the panelists. It's really a pleasure to get to know all of you in person. So it's an honor for me to kind of host you here. I just wanted to kind of go around the panel here, and we can start with Greg all the way down there. Just give a little bit about what you're doing, what you're bringing to the panel today.
So about 9 years ago, almost 10 years ago now, I started with this nonprofit. Actually, as was a mentoring opportunity. And when I showed up, I realized I had an opportunity to teach these young people management skills and some technical skills, and in so doing, I reaped tremendous rewards for myself, and at the same time I helped teach some challenged young people how to get things done at work and in life. It's been great.
Thank you, Greg. Now, Sri, you've been doing this for some time, right?
You're asking me, Prasanna?
Yes.
Yes, I've been doing it since 1998. 97. So that's about 20 plus years.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the organization itself and how you came up with the idea and how you and skill-based volunteering angle.
Yeah, I mean the story about how I started the organization is also very interesting. I mean, we have had blindness in our family, so it is a cause that I associate. I don't know what it can do to a person from being very strong to become dependent. I do know the transition. But what really motivated us is my uncle was volunteering for this organization in Coimbatore called Shankarai Hospital. And he was volunteering for some time, and they were struggling to pay their bills. So he was after us. He knew that in the US it's possible to raise funds and help the organization. So he was after us for a long time. We kept even stopped answering the phone calls because we pick up the phone, he'll say, "What have you done?" Right? We didn't do anything for a while. But it so happened that in a visit to India, I visited the hospital, and that changed my life. Right? Looking at how dedicated each of the people working there was. And that really changed. I mean, skill-based volunteers, all the doctors there who are not eye doctors were all volunteers. Skill-based volunteer, right? I mean, that's what they were doing. And so we saw that and we were so impressed that I came back and convinced my brother and my neighbor, who's actually from Pakistan, right? We convinced him, all of us three got together and started the organization, right? And that's how it started. But the way it grew is because of the cause making such a good, big impact on somebody's life. And that motivated all of us. All we had to do is go see somebody. In 15 minutes, they become a breadwinner from being a dependent on the family. That impact caused us to take this seriously. And we said it cannot be just in Coimbatore, it needs to go all across India because the problem in India is huge. So we have a simple goal, eradicate curable blindness. Very simple, right? And we are making it happen. Right? Because of the volunteers, because of the skill-based volunteering that happens in Shankar. All the skills that are missing automatically get filled. Right? We have the people come to it for cause, for the impact, but they realize, hey, this skill is missing. They learn the skill or they bring somebody who has the skill. Right? That is how it has been happening. So it changed my life.
We'll totally dive into the skill-based stuff that all of us could be doing and helping organizations like Shankarai Foundation. So thank you for being a founder and helping save lots of livelihoods because of that. So I want to see, Usha, can you tell us a little bit about the causes that you've been kind of fighting for 18 years? Is that right? Or longer?
I don't know when I started, but I think my volunteering started with donating money first when I was in my 20s. And at that time it was an unknown child in some unknown part of the world donating a certain amount of money, or something $25 a month. Right from my mid-20s, I think. But as soon as I got a job, very much soon after that, it was my first job. And I would get reports on it, it was like, okay, there's a connection, but still I'm pretty aloof, I'm not that connected. And so that was one phase. And then later on, what happened was when my daughter was born, that's when a shift happened. Within the first few days of my daughter being born, I realized that I needed help with the whole nurse feeding, the breastfeeding, the nursing process. So there was a lactation consultant who was there at the hospital where my daughter was born, and she really helped. And it was part of her job. It was not something that, it was not a volunteer job. It was her job to do it. But still, it was so amazingly helpful. I was absolutely filled with gratitude, and so that's where it started for me. Was that huge sense of gratitude. And I knew I had to do something about it. I didn't know when I was going to do it. And I can tell you more of that story later. But that's where it really started for me. And so that leaped into volunteering in the area of teaching small groups in classes, volunteering as organizing parenting talks in the school where my daughter was, because it was a parent participation school, and every parent needed to be educated in how to aid in the classroom. So there was parenting classes that were happening in the school. So I brought talks in to happen. There were some workshops that I brought external people to come and lead them. I also became one of the teachers within that school system. And then I ended up training through an outside organization to be a parenting teacher. And that led into more volunteering opportunities. And then I also, teaching in the classroom made me want to be a school teacher. So that, it's all about learning new skills on the job, right? So I ended up getting a pre-teaching credential out of that. And so all of that happened. It was a very big set of changes that happened in 2005 when I left my job at IBM.
Awesome. I think teaching is a great cause, and I have 2 kids, and I constantly learn from them. But I'm, seeing that teaching can be a lot of fun. My 2-year-old is not in it right now. He's doing his terrible twos, but not really learning anything from me. But I'm learning from him. So I wanted to come back to Shashi and see that to kind of hear your story and your causes that you are kind of fighting for.
Yeah, sure. For me, it's actually probably started many years ago in my 20s. I started to volunteer as a counselor at Nextdoor, which is not the app, but it's an organization in San Jose that helps victims of domestic violence. So when I started, I came from a very protected family, so I had no idea about violence or any of the other social impacts And so for me it was an eye-opener, and I used to man the the phones, and all night, all through the night, and help women, like, if somebody called, what do you do, how do you help them? And this was at a shelter that, it was at a secret location, and there were a lot of women with children at that shelter. So for many years I did that, but then I had families, had kids, and so I hadn't done a whole lot until last year. My kids are now almost out of the house, but I started to volunteer again for Maitri. But last year, a business associate and a friend of mine started an organization called Prerna that kind of helps refugees assimilate into society. So the government does a big part in helping set these families up, but after that there is a whole process of how do you integrate them, how do you help them get jobs and so on. So I helped in some of the logistics of getting the organization up and running. So that was a great experience. But right now I'm in the middle of starting a company, so probably I'll go back in a few months again and help out.
Thank you for sharing your journey. So I thought it was interesting to kind of hear the personal experiences for everybody on this panel, because really volunteering is about causes that everyone believes in, and so it is interesting and important for us to kind of really understand what causes that these panelists are fighting for. I'm sure each of you have something that you are passionate about, something that you want to kind of see a change, and that's kind of where it starts. It's really not anything anywhere else. So I'm so glad to kind of hear the kind of impact that you guys are interested in making. So then I'm going to switch over into skills. Let's talk about really what is skill-based volunteering. So anybody wants to take up the question on what is skill-based volunteering? Right?
Sure. I'll give it a shot. So I can give you an example of Shankara board. We are only 5 people in the board, and all 5 of us bring different things to the board. And if we find something that is missing in the board, one of us takes it up, learns that skill, and comes in. So in a volunteering organization, there are 2 ways of looking at it. Either you learn a skill that you don't have, that is going to help the organization, or you bring a skill that you already have that is going to help the organization scale. Right? Both has happened in Shankara, and it is happening every day in Shankara. Right? And so in the board, I bring in strategy and management and licensing, and this is what I do at Intel, right? I used to do it. We are very particular about it. So all the registration, government-related stuff, everything, and the overall strategy comes to me. I handle that. Because that's a skill that I developed at Intel, I could apply in Shankara. And we have people who have started companies, like, Mastech was founded by Sundar. So he is part of the board. What does he bring? He knows how to automate things, how to set up for scaling up front. Don't start thinking small, right? He says, think how you're going to scale. So you build your own database, you're going to have trouble maintaining it. It's a volatile organization. So he brought in software as a service 20 years ago to Shankara, right? So he brings in that scaling aspect, how we go forward, how do we execute, what are the organizational norms that we need to set, all of that. So everybody brings one aspect. And we had one big missing aspect, that is finance, right? So we wanted somebody who can, of course we had business people, they knew finance, they could look at accounting, all of that. But somebody needed to work with our accountant and auditors to make sure that fully everything taken care of. Who handles that? We didn't have a skill. So Padma, who happens to be a hardware engineer, principal engineer at Microsoft, distinguished engineer at Microsoft, she became our financial expert. She learned, right? She sat down, she learned, and she is now the CFO of Shankara. So you bring the skills to fill a gap, or if you think you want to learn the skill, join the organization, and maybe there will be mentors that can help you and learn the skill. So every time, here it is there. In India, it happens so that we are an eye care organization. But let's say a patient comes who has blood pressure, who has other problems. How do we treat them? We don't have doctors for everything. We have doctors only for eye care. So what do we do for other doctors? We have volunteers. We have volunteer doctors that come in and they can help us in terms of determining, is this guy now can be operated on or not. Right? So both ways.
Awesome, this is a great framework. So leveraging skills that you already have, honing them, and then kind of picking up new skills. I know a couple of people in this room actually who have learned CFO-like skills. From running IIT Mano, so I know that for a fact actually. And it's not a pleasant job. It's very difficult. Accounting and balancing budgets is very difficult. But it's one of those types of things where you understand that you eventually have it. That's a skill that you get, and hopefully you can apply it anywhere else wherever you're going. So wanted to kind of see here perspectives on what is skill-based volunteering.
Yeah, that's a grand example, but I think everybody here, you're all very smart people. I'm just going to take that for granted.
Please don't.
But so you have your traditional skills that you learn in the workplace, but there are other things that we're good at, right? We're good at organizing. We're good at, photography. We have a marketing knack. How do you set up a sound system? I taught a group of kids how to set up a room like this for an event like this. That's just, wasn't even thinking about that when I showed up. I showed up just to be a listener, just to mentor some young people, and then I saw them struggle with this, and I said, hey, I can teach these young people to do that, and then we don't need to rely on adult volunteers all the time, because kids are there all the time. And, you don't know how it's going to show up. If you're there and you just get so much back from it, it's immensely rewarding. But when you have something, you're probably not even aware of what it is. You have something to contribute. Just go for it. Show up and see how it works.
Thank you. Any other extra comments? Other comments on skill-based? What is skill-based volunteering? How do you go about thinking about either adding to your skills or contributing your skills?
I'll share a little bit more about my story, then connect it up with that question,
Good.
which is
Yeah.
related. So, in addition to gratitude, the thing that played a huge role in my life was this thing of suffering. Why am I suffering so much on this planet, right? We all go through this existential question, what am I doing on this planet? And you see other people suffering, and how do you reduce suffering, and you wonder why there is all this suffering. All these deep questions come up in your mind. And it was, a big spiritual journey for many, many years, and it led me ultimately to the Art of Living Foundation, and I did my Art of Living Happiness program, and it completely changed my life. I don't question that anymore. It is just the way it is. Accept the situations as they are. Just whatever comes your way, you just accept it, move along, navigate it the way you can. But what happened with that program was that it brought my needs down. So here I was feeling very needy. Why am I suffering so much? How can I take care of this? I had all these different needs. We all have needs, right? But then as my needs dropped, because I was now starting to take care of myself with more regular yoga and pranayamas and the Sudarshan Kriya and meditations, I just felt much more peace in my heart. And the moment I started feeling that, I felt I had so much more energy now to do other things. What do I do with all this energy? Service, seva, right? So, and then in doing that, I found I was able to take more responsibility beyond my immediate family. And then taking more responsibility automatically allowed me to build more skills. The moment you decide you're going to take a responsibility, you jump in, you start doing it, you learn on the job. There is no way around the fact that you are going to learn new skills. That's just what happened for me. So, teaching. My first opportunity to teach was when I was in IIT actually. I was tutoring 2 middle school kids, 1 middle school kid and 1 high school kid. So that was fun, and I forgot about it. And then when I was in my when my daughter was in elementary school, I ended up teaching in my daughter's school as a substitute teacher. I worked with small groups of kids and learned a lot of skills about teaching on the job right there. So that was great. So then I got myself a teaching credential, brand new skill came in. I left my job at IBM. But it was a very big shift, all this 3-digit, 6-digit figure salary, drop it, and all of a sudden now no salary. It's a very big jump to make, and it takes a lot of courage. But that knowledge that I can take care of myself, that the skills I need will come to me, that will happen when I need it. That allowed me to make that big jump. And so the other skills that I developed through Art of Living were, because part of Art of Living is to help other people come to the programs, and so there's a lot of work in outreach. In any work you do, there's a lot of outreach. Shankara Foundation has its own share of outreach, right, to bring people in and get money into the program. So there's a lot of outreach work that needs to be done. You get comfortable talking to strangers on the road. Hey, I'm interested in this nice new Art of Living program. So you learn to get out of your comfort zone. Learning to get out of your comfort zone is an important skill for anything in just life, right? So that was great. Then I learned how to create marketing flyers to do more outreach, put up flyers in different places, talk to people about those flyers, and set up a booth in the farmers markets and talking to people out there. So those were new skills that I didn't have before. So that all came together. And then teaching the Art of Living programs to the youth as well. So right now I teach Art of Living programs for ages 8 to 13 and 14 to 17. And right now I'm in the middle of one actually this weekend. So that's another skill. And all of these things wouldn't have been possible had I not first decided to take care of myself. And for me, that was the biggest thing. Learning to take care of myself, learning to deal with all the stress that I was going through. Believe me, 10 years ago, if you had seen me, I would not have been as calm. I don't have seen me before. So yeah, there was a lot of stress in my life, but all of that has kind of calmed down, and I'm in a place of, I'm in a good place right now. That's because I took the time to take care of myself, and all of a sudden, I have more skills.
It's a great point. So I think I couldn't agree with you more. I think there is the aspect of hard skills, like the CFO skills that we spoke about, accounting skills, things that you can take into your work, and marketing skills, but also the soft skills, right? Learning how to deal with the uncertainties and things like that. So that's awesome. Do you want to add something to this?
Yeah, sure, a quick thing. I think all of us are pretty organized in our daily lives because we do a whole lot of things. We have families, we work, we have other extracurricular activities. So I think organization skills is a big thing that you can help, anybody can help with, right? When I helped my friend last year, it was about spreadsheets, trying to track what events we could participate in to make people more aware. So you just can't show up at every event. You have to pay to be part of some of these events. So just keeping a spreadsheet of events or a spreadsheet of volunteers. But the other thing is that you have to be comfortable in what it is you want to do. That's a big thing. For me, no offense, but I didn't want to be part of a big organization. I wanted to be part of something small, and I don't like fundraising. I feel very uncomfortable. I'm not in sales, so I feel uncomfortable asking people for money. So that's not my thing. But I love to throw parties, I love to throw events, so this is something that I could help with. So those are the kinds of things that you want to think about when you want to start volunteering or getting even your kids or your family to be part of that.
Great.
I want to add to what she just said. Two things. One is organizational skills. One thing we do at Shankara is that we want to have backups for backups. Right? So we have somebody who's running Dandiya. Dandiya is our prime event. 15,000 people come there. Right? This is the biggest Dandiya in the West Coast. Right? So we don't want that to ever suffer. So we have to have backups. So what we do is every year we bring new people, new volunteers who are very enthused about Dandiya, who like it, and say, hey, you are the event organizer, the 3 people. And those 3 people now take it on. We, all the seniors, are behind. We help them, right? We coach them. But the event is organized by those 3 people. After that thing, they can organize any event. Because Dandiya is such a big event. If they can organize that, they can organize any event. So now they've gained new skills. We have new volunteers with the new skills that we need. So next time, if there is a gap, we can tap into it. That's one thing we do. Second thing you said about fundraising, I want to just add one small comment. I am like that, I was like that too, right? I always like to give, not to ask. But one thing, one person told me in volunteer meeting just last week, he said, he was coaching other chapters how to raise funds. He said, think about your success rate is 1 in 100. Okay? If you call 100 people, 1 person will donate. 99% will say no. So you make a call, and that guy says no. Fine. Oh, only 99 more to go. Right? So he says, you take that attitude. My goal is coming shorter and shorter. I'm going to reach the goal. Right? If you take that attitude, it's easy. Second thing is, never think that you are asking for yourself. You're going to ask for somebody else.
Yeah, sure. I think the point is, if you find something you're good at and you feel comfortable in doing, then you stick to it more, and you're more optimized to deliver, and the success rate goes up, rather than trying to do. I mean, it's up to you. If you want to go into sales and actually gain that knowledge, then of course, yeah, you're right.
I was just going to say, there are again people in this room who have asked for money for our organization, non-profit organizations, and it's so difficult to do so. Like even to run an event like this takes a lot of fundraising skills, and a lot of us who kind of have been a part of Mana have gone repeatedly again and again, not wanting to do this, but at the same time knowing that it's critical for the organization. So it's an interesting kind of a question actually. There are small organizations and large organizations, and then there are activities that you're passionate about, perhaps marketing or some kind of like an event planning and organization, and then there are types of things that you may have to do, like being a CFO or being fundraising. So there seems to be this kind of a wide swath of skills that you could kind of tap into. So I'm going to switch topics slightly now, and just come back to what's probably very relevant to everybody here is, so everyone on this in this panel actually has, I would say, probably 3 things that they do. First thing probably is their family, and I'm speaking for you, but hopefully you will chime in soon. Second thing is probably their first work that they do, the first job that they have. For me, I have a full-time job at PayPal, so I run a pretty big team. It's very stressful, and I know for you as well, Shashi, I'm sure, and as we go across the panel here, we have all stressful jobs and careers. But then how do you take the time to do something for this third thing, right? Skill-based volunteering. How do you find the time? So I want to kind of go through, and we perhaps can start and figure out how you balance things.
Yeah, sure. Balance it's difficult. I had to take a break with my kids. There was no way, and a full-time job and traveling. There was no way I could spend a whole lot of time towards that goal. But now, I guess as I see I have more and more time, I'm able to spend that towards volunteering and doing events, actually going to meetings on weekends when you're not running around doing other things.
Do you set specific time aside for saying, okay, I'm going to do this number of hours this week, or how do you?
Yes, definitely. I think the number of hours was very essential. Just not so much to be organized, but also we have kind of like a tracking system where we keep track of how many hours each one of us spends on the organization as well. And we have to do things after work or on weekends.
Want to take it, Usha?
Sure. So when I first started volunteering in my daughter's school, it was 2 hours a week. And that was when I had a full-time job, and I would, go to bed at 10, wake up at 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning and do my job, get some work done early in the morning, then go volunteer and then go to work after that. And it was not easy, and that's all I could spare at that time. And she was young and she needed my attention. But then once I left my job and decided to spend more time at home and volunteer at the school and all that, I had a lot more time. So it was much more possible for me to do much more of the volunteering than I had been able to before. So at that point I didn't have a job. But then later on I took on another job, and it was a part-time job. And once again I had to balance my time between work and volunteering. And yes, I had to carve out time when I could do it. I could do it over the weekends or in the evenings. On some evenings, not every single evening, because you want to make sure you have time for your children at home. So it is not an easy balance, and it changes with time depending on your children. And we think that our children don't need time with us when they're teenagers because they're more independent, but actually it's the time when they actually need you at home. They need your presence at home. And so you can't take off too much time in the evening, even when they're teenagers. You may never spend a lot of time with them physically in the same room, but you kind of have to be at home, because the moment they need you, that's when they need you, and you better be there for those 5 minutes, otherwise you've lost that connection opportunity. So it's really tricky even to have that balance when they're a teenager. My daughter's now in college, so I have a lot more time to myself right now. And I'm deciding my schedule, because I've decided to be an independent tutor at this point. A couple of years ago I was working in the school system as a teacher, but right now I'm making my time and I'm choosing to do what I'm doing. So again, every stage in my life has been a little bit different, and the balance has been always in favor of making sure the family is taken care of first, and if that's not taken care of, everything else falls apart, and offering time for volunteering beyond that. But there were times when I did go and stretch myself. I have this tendency to take on too much responsibility, and so I had to watch myself a lot. I would always get feedback saying, "No, you're doing too much, pull back, pull back." So have to watch yourself, that's all I can say.
How about you?
I think I was lucky. I mean, me and my brother both were lucky. We got our families involved right from the beginning.
Interesting.
Okay, so 5 of us, me, my wife, my brother, his wife, and my mother. All 5 of us were involved in the organization. So we always take turns to take care of the family things, right? And so the only 2 things that we put priority on, unfortunately, personally, is Shankara and Intel. Intel was a very stressful job for me. I had teams all across the world. Right? So and then Shankara, both were important. But I had a very, very strong support of the family. Right? So the only thing that really suffered for me personally, I mean, Sagar can, vouch to that. He knows that my social life outside of Shankara is 0. Right? I mean, so any family, any social life or anything that happens, it happens with the Shankara family. Shankara had become a family, right? Shankara has become the friends. So anything that we do is within the Shankara. Outside of that, I completely gone. Completely cut off. I had something I had to be given up. And I had to give up that personal connection.
It's a good, as in, what are you giving up really? Because this is going to be the extra thing. So Greg, what have you given up?
When I was first introduced to this program, I thought, I don't have time for this, really. I really didn't think I had time. I was very busy with all of the things in my life. And as I got to know some of the young people and what these volunteers, this nonprofit was up to, I changed, my values changed. My values about my time changed. Like Usha said, I got caught up in it. I overcommitted initially, and that was problematic. Very fortunate for me, and I think this is critical, as Shri said, you have to have partnership at home. If your family is not enrolled in what you're up to, you're going to have conflict. So it is important to strike that balance. And part of it also is knowing what you're getting into. Sometimes nonprofits have a way of being a little vague about how much of a commitment it is to do this or that. So don't be shy about asking what the commitment really is in terms of time and so on. And if you can do those things, I think that's the formula for success. It changed my life.
Craig, it is different when you are running the charity. It's ours.
It is, yeah, it's your. So we're gonna now take Q&A from. So we have 5 minutes for Q&A. So want to see anybody wants to have questions on skill-based, what kind of skills that you can learn, what kind of organizations that you can help you. A lot of us here have spent time in this space, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
We don't want to limit the Q&A to this room because we're going to have more Q&A outside. But formally we want to have 5 minutes here and then we can continue.
That's Naren's nice way of saying, let's keep it short.
So what would be the panelist's advice to someone who has absolutely no interest in volunteering? I'm assuming some of us have not at least started with.
Yeah, actually, it's a good question. Anyone wants to take
So
that?
I'll take that course, sorry. So the way it starts, volunteering starts, is some cause that you like, Start donating if you want, right? I mean, if you really believe in the cause, if you don't believe in the cause, that's fine, right? But pick a cause that you really believe in and start supporting the cause. Over time, things will change, right? It will change that you want to get more and more involved with the cause. And you will say, hey, where are you suffering? This is where I'm suffering. Hey, I do have that skill. Can I support you with that? For example, today we would love to have big data, data analytics, who can go into our donor database and tell us why only 7% are repeat donors. What happened, right? I would like to know. I would like to know so I can target my next campaign properly, right? So somebody coming in and helping with data analytics will be fantastic. So you can find out what the organization needs if you really believe in that cause. So you may not think that you want to volunteer today, but 5 years from now, it will change.
But what if you don't have a cost? I mean, I understand the cost part of it.
Yeah, let me address that. So let's take 10 seconds or maybe half a minute at most, right? Let's close our eyes for a moment and just think about one thing you're extremely grateful for. You have a lot of gratitude for. Can we do that just for 30 seconds? Everyone close their eyes. And as you think of what you're grateful for, think of how you can express your gratitude. Think of ideas that may come to you for how to express that gratitude. Okay, let's open our eyes. So if you had any ideas, that's great. If not, you can use this prompt to just reflect on it a little bit and see what comes to you. Because you know what? The mind, when it quietens down, will naturally allow ideas to spring forth. Our best ideas come up when we're in the shower. Have you noticed this? If you're in the shower and the water's streaming all over you, you suddenly feel so good. Why? The outside is being cleaned, and by the way, the inside is also being cleaned. The mind is getting calm. And when your mind is calm, that's when ideas spring forth. And any idea you have will just, many of the brilliant innovations in the world have happened through bathroom singing or bathroom ideas, right? So a quiet mind is great. It's a great starting place. So think of what you're grateful for and see what ideas come to you.
I'd like to sort of answer his query as to what you're not interested in. It's always intimidating when we're talking about skill-based, so you're going to bring all these different skills to volunteering. And you don't need to have any skill. All of us are educated here. We can read. You can read a Dr. Seuss book, you can read a Harry Potter book. And if we can spend even 2 hours or 1 hour in the week reading to a child who does not have a mother at home or a father at home or any figure to read, and you don't have to go anywhere special, the school district will accommodate, you go an hour early from work. My son, after graduating from USC, works down, and he spends every Wednesday morning, he goes into the school district and reads for an hour, hour and a half with a 6th grader. Because I've always been involved with reading. and he does that. You don't need any skill. He's not doing anything special with the child. All he's doing is reading, but it's such a rapport between him and the child, and he becomes an adult male role model for that young boy. So we don't have to always think, oh, I've got to be good at raising money, I've got to do database, I've got to host events, I've got to do, no, all you need to do is read to a child. And I think all of us can do that. It will give us also great pleasure. And it doesn't have to be at a great intellectual level. You don't have to teach math, physics, chemistry, history, nothing. Just read whatever the child wants to read with them. And we help literacy, educational skills, organizational skills for the child, and a role model for the child.
Thank you. I think we'll definitely, this conversation is probably going to continue afterwards, but I think Station has one last question, so go ahead.
I want to take what Amy said and answer to his question and maybe into a broader context.
Okay.
Because I've been doing this kind of thing like friend Sridhar for 35 years in different organizations.
Right.
The last one being IIT Trust and TAI and all. Of course, yeah. What non-profit organizations really are looking for, and all of you can attest, all the people over there,
but they're really looking for things in 3 dimensions. Very simple, and there may be many more. But the 3 that we all know is well documented in non-profit literature is time, talent, and treasure. Okay? Time is what she was talking about. Doesn't matter what skill you have, what you do. If you are living and breathing and you can do something, do it. You pick the cause, whether it's a real cause or not, doesn't matter. It happens to be the local YMCA down there, you do that. You can do it in your school district, you can do at any place, Jewish community center, old people's home. I have done all those things, so that's why I know. It's just a question of doing. It can be done in a professional organization which has an outreach program of its own. You could be part of, IEEE, and they have their own non-profit things that they support. You can be part of the ICC that has now 150, thanks to Shankara Foundation, we attracted 150 non-profit that raise money for themselves. ICC forms a platform. I started that program in 2009. So there are multiple ways in which you can do this. So the time, talent, and treasure. You don't have to have a cause to begin with. You just start giving your time. Soon you'll figure out the talent where you can give, and very soon you'll also open your checkbook and write big checks.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the panel.
Could I just say
one more? Okay, sorry.
Actually, volunteermatch.org is an online service that matches you up with anything that you want to do in your community. Even the local library has things that, like you were mentioning. So you can start simple. Thank you.
I just wanted to mention that there were 3 other tools if you really want to kind of are interested. I know there's some young kids in the audience. So there's Taproot Foundation. So you go to taproot.org. There's Crowdfire, right? Crowdfire, which is also matches things that you can do from reading to anything. Oh, Catchafire. Yeah, thank you. Catchafire, right? And then there's also, like you mentioned, Volunteer Match. So these are all organizations that are looking to match causes to people. So you should definitely tap into that if you're looking to give back to the community. Well, with that, thank you so much. Thank you, panel. Thank you for
Thank you.